Final Expense Agent Mentorship Program. How do you feel about how I do my videos and how I construct, how I look at the final expense business? What do you think about how I conduct my training program? So, what those were a couple of open-ended questions. And the purpose of this video, by the way, my name is David Duford from Final Expense Agent Mentor at feagentmentor.com. The purpose of this video is to talk about the process of asking open-ended questions in the pre-qualification stage of the final expense sales presentation. So what we're going to do today is kind of talk about why I ask open-ended questions, the purpose of those, and what we're trying to garner out of those questions, and why I feel it is absolutely pivotal to design your presentation to where you implement these kinds of questions in the process so that you're getting the maximal amount of information and facts out of this person to help you at the very end solidify the sale and reference back to those answers to the questions you pose. So an open-ended question is very much like the ones I asked in the beginning. They're open-ended. The person can respond in whatever form or fashion they want to, as opposed to a closed-ended question where you feel I'm saying something that's completely accurate and 100% true, right? That's a yes-no type of question. It's very straight to the point. There's no deviation, or I'm trying to close in on a specific statement without going into detail. The problem with statements and selling on a closed-ended basis is you really don't necessarily take the time to understand what the prospect feels is important in the buying process. An open-ended questioning process allows you to collect information that otherwise is uncollectible, okay? Or maybe not fully disclosed if you're just hammering away and just blasting through like a steamroller, all right? So what kind of open-ended questions do you ask during a sales call? Well, my favorite open-ended questions to ask when I'm running direct mail leads is, what were your thoughts and concerns when you mailed in this card? Then I sit back and listen. The other open-ended questions I ask, what are your thoughts about burial? What do you want your life insurance plan to do for you when you pass away? And I sit back and listen. And it's amazing how much information you can get out of people just asking basic open-ended questions like that. A lot of people will reveal their whole life story just by a simple question. All the time thinking you're the greatest conversationalist that ever existed because you take the time to listen to these people, which in many cases don't ever get listened to. So the reason we ask open-ended questions, besides learning more about what drives this prospect and their thinking process, it really reveals not just the facts, but the underlying emotions that drive this person towards feeling a specific way. This is important because ultimately life insurance is an act of love. It's emotional in nature. People buy logically, of course, but the emotion drives the motivation to set aside a certain amount of money every month to pay for that life insurance. And so taking the time to understand what makes this person tick and think the way they do is a great resource for you at the very end of the sale to close it, to solidify the deal. I call it the client is giving you ammo to use on them. They're providing you everything you need to know to convince them, okay? Because many times these people have thought about this stuff over and over and over again for months on end. And so when they hear themselves saying, I need life insurance, I need this done, this is important because my dad died, didn't have insurance, left us with the bill. And they share that story of emotional strife and regret and frustration, anger, that emotion starts to come out. That's what creates the urgency. And that's what creates the connection and the resolution to make a decision to buy today, okay? So that's why I think open-ended questions are so vital in the sales process. Because ultimately, when you do open-ended questions and you sit back and listen, they tell you everything you need to know. Now, there's another aspect to the open-ended questions that are just as important. This is a little technique I learned that took some time. I learned from a proficient agent out of Iowa, read $400,000 plus in business for 2 years consecutively. If you listen to him talk and what Tim says in his presentations, He is very good and skilled at pauses. He's not afraid of taking time to let silence go between making or asking a question and letting that person across the table respond. As people, we're all too quick to respond when there is a silence because of the awkwardness, okay? But silence is golden in this business because it means the person's thinking, it means they're considering what you have to say, and they're going to give you a response that really means something. So good salespeople like Tim will learn how to utilize silence in a way that really garners the true underlying feelings of that prospect that you wouldn't normally find in any other circumstances. So easy way to do it is just ask your questions, sit back, make eye contact with them, shut your lips, wait for them to respond. And you'll be surprised, because a lot of people, even I do it sometimes, I have to train myself not to, we all do. If you just jump in there and start talking again, you're going to miss something really important that it may take some confidence and time to get them up to actually mentioning. So if you train yourself to do that, take your time, ask good questions, sit back, and let them tell you what they really think, you're going to find the results will be much better that way. So that's why I think open-ended questions are fantastic, because they give you all the tools you need to make the deal happen, okay? So my name's David Duford. Final Expense Agent Mentor is my agency name, and my website is feagentmentor.com. Check my videos out, check my articles out, check my website out, subscribe, thumbs up, ask a question down here in my video. I'll be more than happy to reply to you directly. And thanks so much for listening as always. Take care.